Good morning, I'm back. I am your host, Jack Remington of the Jack Remington NFL channel. First things first, I only went 1 win, 4 losses last week. We were 0-4 going to the Sunday night game. And the one game I was the most worried about, and I thought I was just giving up a free pick, was the one that saved us going for the 0-5 schlonker. Never gone 0-5, ever. And that would have been a horrible, horrible testament against my abilities. Having said that, we had the Ravens plus 5.5, and they were playing the Green Bay Packers. I feel they're the top team in the NFL. I've been saying on other videos that they were the second best team in the NFL last year, second to the Tampa Bay Bucks, because Tampa beat them in a great playoff game, in a NFC Championship game. Green Bay had their chances to actually win that game late, but they didn't. If Green Bay would have got there, they would have destroyed Kansas City worse than what Tampa would have done, because Green Bay would have matched up far better to play against Kansas City, in my opinion. But that's not the purpose of this video. And we had Ravens plus 5.5, and they were up 14-7 in the middle of the second quarter. But Lamar Jackson, he was 4 for 4, but I saw Huntley playing again. So Lamar Jackson was out of the game. I thought, well, maybe they can hang on. And I went to go do some other things, run some air, had to go pick up somebody, pick up my daughter, my granddaughter, and to come back. And next thing it was 31-14, and they did. Green Bay scored 24 straight unanswered points, and I thought, my God, with 5 minutes left in the game, I thought, my God, we needed 2 scores to make it, get back in the money. And sure enough, they did. They somehow came back, and they went for 2 at the end and didn't make us. 2 weeks in a row they did that. But Harbaugh, he knows that if you kick the extra point and you go to overtime, you're still losing overtime, so let's go for the win now. I mean, people are bashing him because he's 0-2 for that 2 weeks in a row, but you know what? And he needs that 9th win to really shore up his chances of getting in the postseason. And he just had 2 shots at it, and well, he didn't make it. Well, now he's going to play Cincinnati this week, and I don't like his chances. And we're not going to play that game this week because we got 5 better games. We went 1-4. When I was doing the SUPE contest years ago, when I was going every week in Vegas in the early 2000s, I remember the proxies, and I talked to other proxies. They were always trying to get me a sign up for next year, and they were always trying to get my business and see if I knew anybody else. They all told me, and they had a different sportsbook manager back then. And I think Corner J came later, Mr. Corner J. He was a pretty good sportsbook manager. They all told me that no one ever cashed money in the SUPE contest, ever, that ever had an 0-5 week snuck in there somewhere. So I avoided the 0-5 schlonker. Let's not say that it's not going to happen in the future, but I've been good enough to avoid that. So let's go ahead and get to the picks and see if we can turn around and go 5-0 this week. I'm getting comments online and on my channel. I had to delete a couple of them saying, oh, the AFC knows there's no team that's got a playoff spot locked up. Well, you know what? That's a good thing. That's good for the NFL product. There's no such thing as fixing the NFL. Now, I know there's been a couple of problems. You can look up on Google and look up, and there's books written about it, and the Seattle-Pittsburgh Super Bowl, and there's some evidence out there that things aren't, maybe not up to snuff. But I'm here to tell you, I'm not one of those people. I do not believe that it's even possible to fix an NFL game. They have their own security. They're all retired CIA, NSA, and FBI people that know how to investigate. They can wiretap. They can do anything they want to do. You don't ever want the NFL security knocking on your door. You're thinking, what are you talking about, buddy? Well, I'm here to tell you. I saw John Elway at the airport, the Burbank Airport, 10 years ago, or 12 years ago, whatever it was, and he was waving to people. He was signing autographs. I mean, his shoulders are that wide. He's built like a tank. He's not that tall, but he's still, even he's a quarterback, but he's still muscular. And he was going to go to his car dealership, and I believe it was in Golden, Colorado. That's all I can remember was that my friends, hey, aren't you going to wave to him? I said, I'm not going to wave to that guy. I said, I don't want the NFL security knocking on my door when we go to Vegas. I don't want him telling me, hey, I'm going to be the general manager of the Broncos and this wide receiver's out. I don't want any trouble. And you think I'm bullshitting, I'm telling you I'm not. You don't want the NFL security knocking on your door. You need to trust me when I say that. The RICO statutes, they can get you for that. We're going to go ahead and get to the games. I got to say that this is a good thing for the brand of the NFL, that there's no AFC teams got anything locked up. If any team has a collapse that you think they're in first or second place now, if they collapse, they're out. In the NFC, you can pretty much say some teams are going to make it, but there's still nothing in concrete yet. But I think if Green Bay has a tie and someone loses, they're going to win the division. And if they will just win one game, and all the other teams lose one, they'll get the top number 1 seed. I think it's inevitable, and I think Green Bay is going to get the top seed, but Dallas could still sneak in there. Things are shaping up pretty good. These are essentially, in my opinion, they're playoff-like games, or you can even say they're actually playoff games, and we'll get to that in a bit. Okay, the very first team we're taking the Thursday night's game tonight, and I know I said I wasn't going to do that when I first started this channel back up, but I'm going to take the Tennessee Titans. They're a home dog to the San Francisco 49ers. When Tennessee's got their mojo working right, look at the first half of that Steeler game. Tennessee was unstoppable. Tennessee, they built a 13-3 lead at Pittsburgh, and they needed this win, and it looked like they were going to get it. And of course, had the Titans. And next thing you know, here comes Pittsburgh. Tannehill, he's fumbling the ball. He threw a couple of interceptions. He got sacked 3 or 4 times. They got that T.J. Watt guy. When he's on the field, that one player that just makes the rest of that team stronger on the defense for the Steelers. And you got to remember, the Steelers, they went into Buffalo week 1 and slonkered them on defense. They blocked a punt, got a kickoff return, did this, did that. And they sacked Josh Allen, and Buffalo had to get 0-1. I mean, we had Buffalo. Defense can play good when they want to. And this is Big Ben's last year, or so they say. But we're not going to take the Steelers this week with the 8.5 points against Kansas City. I think just Kansas City is just too strong. There's better games to pick than that, but I'm here to tell you, I think Tennessee's lost the last 3 out of 4. Knowing what they won, they beat Jacksonville 20-0. Of course, we got that one right. Vrabel, the coach, he's going to outcoach a guy for the 49ers. I mean, I'm not sold on the coaching staff for the 49ers. They were celebrating with 7 minutes left in the Super Bowl a couple years ago. And next thing you know, here comes on 3rd and 17, Mahomes throws that air ball, and Tyreek Hill, he somehow catches it, and he zigs. I mean, you can't catch the guy. And you would think they would snap that out of a funk. Nope. They needed 1 first down to ice that Super Bowl. We even turned the game off. My son-in-law, hey, oh, you got a winner. We're watching my granddaughter. She's brand spanking new, and yeah, she was a year old. Long story short, we would turn the game off. We're playing with the granddaughter. Next thing you know, he went upstairs and went through his little computer games with his friends. And you know what, you lost? I said, no. Then we turned the TV back on, and sure enough, there's the Chiefs are celebrating in the end zone. I was like, how did they blow that lead with 5 minutes to go? But they did. This coaching staff, I don't have that much confidence in them. This is the same guy. He was the defensive coordinator when the Falcons had their meltdown against the Patriots when the Patriots were down 28-3. And the Patriots came storming back. I think more Bill Belichick than them melting down. But still, this Shanahan guy for the 49ers, he doesn't know how to close out games. And I just think that he tries to be the players' friends. He wants to be the players' coach and things like that. Not so. Bill Walsh, Jimmy Johnson, to a degree Bill Belichick, although he's trying to change some of that. You can't be a player's coach. You got to be a manager's coach if you want to win Super Bowls and get the Lombardis. Let me get that out of the way. So I hope you agree with me, but we'll see. It doesn't matter. I think Tennessee Titans, I think Vrabel's got the chip off the old block. He knows his team is floundering. He knows it, and he hears footsteps from the Colts. Now, they swept the Colts, but that was earlier in the season, in mid-season. But the Colts, that was the only loss of the last 6 games was to the Titans. I think Vrabel's going to get the team in shape. Tannehill's going to bounce back. Tannehill's going to play up to his potential. I know Garoppolo for the 49ers has played very well. I think for the last 6 weeks, he's a top-rated passer in the NFL. I understand all that, and I know the 49ers had some problems for a while. They finally won a home game after, 11 straight home losses, going back to last year. But they've turned it around, and the 49ers were a decent team. They're a good team. But I just think Tennessee's a better team. And even though Derrick Henry is not coming back until if they can make the playoffs, still, they've plugged in a couple of people that's taken some of the running back duties, and they've done okay. The schematics is still the same, but it's just going to show you that Derrick Henry is really good at what he does. I think the 49ers secondary, I think Tannehill, if he can, place his throws and get the ball out quicker, not hold on to the ball so long, and just play a better game all around as a quarterback. Even Bill Belichick thinks that Ryan Tannehill is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, and I think he is. I've seen him play great at times. But there's been a couple of games, a couple of throws this year has kind of made me think he's back with the Miami Dolphins a few years ago. But we're taking the Tennessee Titans on Thursday Night Special. I think they need the game more than the 49ers do. The 49ers could still afford to lose this game, and they would still be in decent shape to get a wild card spot. Let's talk about the next game. It's the home team, Arizona Cardinals, -1 versus the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts have won the last 5 out of 6. I got to hand it to them. They played a great game. They took a page out of Buffalo's playbook from the week before against Bill Belichick's Patriots, slow the game down, okay? They actually used that against, if you think about it in a weird way, they used Patriots' own schematics against them for this one game. For recency bias, Frank Reich, he was the backup quarterback for Jim Kelly all those years. He's actually a good football person. I don't think he has that much fire, but I'm sure he's a nice man and he's a great football person. He's just as good as anybody else with the X's and O's. What was the end results of their game? Okay, Wentz only completed 5 passes. He only threw 12. He did have a pick too, but still, you don't worry about that one pick or this part of the analysis. I think the Colts took a page out of New England's book and slowed the game down. That gave them, because if they get in a shootout, I honestly still think Mac Jones would outduel Wentz. But they knew that too. They kept the running game going. They got a Jonathan Taylor. Forget his big run in the fourth quarter. He still had over 100 yards without that one big run late in the game. And New England struggled a little bit against the run. Well, the Colts knew that. It was good for the Colts. Wentz he's been getting bashed, and I bashed him too early in the season. But now Wentz is winning, and he had one great third down big throw in that second quarter, and the momentum was starting to shift right then and there, and he made a hell of a pass. And that kept the drive going. They missed a field goal, but still, they stopped some of the momentum the Patriots were getting back. Now, you know I'm a Bill Belichick, and you know I'm a Patriots fan, and it hurt to have those Colts beat my Patriots, but guess what? My motto and my theory is, on that Saturday game, we always say any given Sunday, it counts all days. Any given Sunday, the best team always wins. And that day, the Colts were the better team. They made the plays to win that game. I know they might not stack against the Green Bay Packers or the Patriots on a different day. Even the Buffalo, they destroyed Buffalo 45-15 or whatever it was a few weeks ago. I mean, but that day they had the right plan and they executed. They made more plays than what the Patriots did. I've got to give credit to Bill Belichick. Now you know how salty he is when he has a loss. I mean, the man does not like to lose. He reminds me of these poker players I had to deal with for 38 years in the casino business when I was a poker dealer and poker manager and a prop and everything else I did. I've had every job as security. I was even a security guard temporarily until we got somebody in at the place here in Ventura. Until we got somebody in. I was a part-time cook. I had to bring my wife in to cook when the cooks didn't show up. I've had every job there is in the casino business. I was even a valet parker. Valet man, when Valet Parker didn't come in, and got somebody to deal a couple tables, and I had to get this guy's Mercedes out. He was a big tipper. I mean, he was giving $100 bills to protect his car. Anyway, Bill Belichick reminds me of a sore loser. You get pocket aces and it gets beaten. I mean, they throw the cards and they get mad and they curse the dealer and they get frustrated. It's easy to get frustrated. I'm not justifying the bad behavior, the childish behavior. We all have bad days. But when Bill Belichick has a loss, he's very, very salty. He's not nice. I mean, I've watched this guy forever. Going back to his Giants days, he was just salty. He was just how he is as this person. He wants to win, and now he's got to go to a press conference, and you know what you're going to get when he walks up there. And when he's really mad, he puts that mask on so he tries to hide his face the best he can. And you can see him breathing deep. He just wants to get the hell out of there. But it's part of his contract. And the NFL owners, they all agreed to have their players and coaches and managers talk to the press. I mean, it keeps their brand alive. So we all get that. To his credit, and if I can't put it on this video here because I'm pressed for time, and it's Thursday, I gotta get this video out. I'm gonna replay what I saw on Twitter. Bill Belichick, he opened up his press conference saying, "I want to give my best condolences for the Ryan Clark family because they just lost their newborn." So let me start with that. So for him to come out like that, to the team to just beat his ass in a hard-fought game, for Bill Belichick to come out and give kind words and speak about that shows the world that he knows what's really important. That your family and your kids, your babies, they are really important. That's more important than your profession. And you know what? He's right. Or that line of thinking, I can see that, and I'm going to say that, in my opinion, he's right. My hat goes off to Bill Belichick. At least he started off the press conference with something positive, transcends and overtakes everything about what we're doing here.
All right. Well, first of all, I'd like to extend my sympathy to Ryan and his family. Our hearts go out to him. As far as the game goes.
But this game here, the Cardinals -1 versus the Colts. Okay, the Cardinals, And both the Patriots and the Cardinals had their first road loss of this year, and then last week. The Colts were at home and they beat New England. Was at Detroit, and Detroit beat their ass. Detroit looked like world beaters. They had a 8-minute drive, got a touchdown, and 1, 2, 3, got the ball back, another 9-minute drive, got a touchdown. I was, whoa. And that was the Cardinals' second loss in a row. They had lost to the Rams at home the week before. We got that one right, thank God. But Detroit, I mean, what's Detroit beating Arizona? I mean, so now their season, now they could be in for a free fall. And people were saying the Cardinals are finished. They figured out Kyle Murray. You know, he was off for a few weeks. He was injured, and maybe he's playing hurt. I haven't had a chance to watch too much of the Cardinals, but I did got to watch the Colts. I got to watch the full game, uninterrupted. I like what I saw out of the Colts, but the metrics are in favor of the Cardinals. Everybody and their brother is betting the Colts. The look of the headline was Cardinals minus 4.5. Now it's got all the way bet down where the Colts were actually favored by 3 points. Now it's settled at the Cardinals minus 1. We're going to take the Cardinals minus 1. We think the Cardinals are going to bounce back. I don't see them losing 3 in a row. I still think they got better personnel from top to bottom. I think they got the better quarterback. They got the better coach. I think they got the better special teams. And I just think that I think Arizona's going to. This is their. They know they have to win this game because now they got the Rams right behind them. Rams can win this division now because they beat Arizona. They got the tiebreaker. Colts need the game too, but you know what? I actually think that I think the Colts are actually in better shape to make the playoffs than Arizona. So Arizona needs this game just a touch more, and I just think they're going to come out firing. I just think they're going to do it. The next game we're going to have 2 even games. There's no points. I mean, I love picking games like that because you just got to pick the winner. You don't have to worry about giving points. You don't have to worry about getting a slunk, or you don't have to worry about some bad luck. Or we had on the added games, I had the Raiders minus 2.5, and Cleveland covered. I mean, Cleveland has beaten me every time I try to bet on them. They lose. If I bet against them, they beat me. So Cleveland's one of my poison teams. But you can avoid the poison team if you just get the even, and then your ability as a handicapper to pick the winner. That's why I love the even games for minus 1. We're going to take the Jacksonville Jaguars even, no points. Just pick them. We're taking the Jacksonville Jaguars at the New York Jets. Now, there's some people, I'm starting to see, I've seen 3 in a row on the YouTube now, where they're jumping on the Jacksonville bandwagon and worried me a little bit. But I think Jacksonville, they're auditioning. They actually outplayed the Texans last week. We had the Jaguars, we lost. They actually outplayed the Texans last week, but they just couldn't score. And the Texans got a couple big plays, and the Texans got a lead on them, and Jacksonville just couldn't catch up. They're not a good catch from behind team. But they still outplayed them, and you look at the box score, you think, how could Jacksonville lose this game? Well, they're young, they're a bottom feeder. But the Jets, I think the Jets are just a disaster. I stayed away from the Miami minus 10. We talked about that in the video. We were going to take Miami, but see, the favorites were 11 wins and 3 losses the previous week. So for week 15, the bookmakers, they overcompensated. I know that was one of the games they overcompensated from. They're giving the Jets too many points. That's why I didn't like the game, and I passed that. Remember, I told you, the games you pass on, you're actually saving yourself, or you're not losing as much. And if we'd had the Miami game instead of the Ravens game, I'd have won 0-5. So think of it that way. But we're going to take the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think they got the better quarterback. I think they got the interim coach at Bevel. I think he's better than the guy from the Jets. I just think that the Jets are finished. I think they're just going to play it. The Jets have they got 2 more tough games coming up. I just think the Jets they've mailed it in. But Jacksonville's got a little bit. They got rid of Urban Meyer. We're done with that. I do want to say one thing here. If I could put the screenshot up, if I remember to do this. Jimmy Johnson came out and said that he feels that Urban Meyer was doomed to start with because he couldn't pick his own staff. Some of the people he had to inherit, and that was the general manager, Mr. Khan, the owner. So when Jimmy Johnson came from University of Miami, when he took the Dallas Cowboys job, he got to pick his own staff, and he brought the same exact staff he had from his championship games from the Miami Hurricanes. So there was no backstabbing, but he thinks Urban Meyer, he got backstabbed by over half his coaching staff. You know what? Now, Jimmy Johnson, to me, has credibility. If it's coming from Jimmy Johnson, I believe that, or I'm going to lean that way. So all the people, these journalists, Urban Meyer, he's a dumpster fire. We understand about the Urban Meyer twerking with the girl. That has nothing to do with his team. So I think Jimmy Johnson was right. Urban Meyer was doomed from the beginning. Mr. Weaver owned the Jacksonville Jaguars. things were a little more relaxed and actually, more, in my opinion, a little more professional. But we're not here to talk about that. And Bevel, he wants that job. He wants to be a head coach. And he's a pretty good football person. He's been around for a long time. He knows his stuff. Like I said, they outplayed Texans. I mean, I saw a little bit of that game. They looked pretty good. They couldn't score. I'm just not impressed with the Jets. I think they've regressed. They've mailed it in. The next game, New England Patriots, home favorite, -2.5. They're hosting the Buffalo Bills in rematch. I know I should stay away from this game, and I was advised by my Buffalo friend, my Buffalo fan over here. He thinks Buffalo's going to get them. But when you look at the injury reports and you look at all the intangibles for these two teams, Buffalo bought that billboard outside Gillette Stadium, and they're trying to pick fights on Twitter, pick fights on Gab, pick fights wherever they can, Facebook, whatever. When it gets to that point, you can see one side is grasping for straws, and that side is the Buffalo Bills. Now, one guy come out with an article, and if I can get it up there in time, his take is the Buffalo Bills window for Super Bowl is closed because they sacrificed too much the last 3 or 4 years, and they've given up so many draft picks. The next 2 years is going to be pretty lean. Josh Allen's playing with some injuries now. I know he did great against Tampa and all that other good stuff. And we had Buffalo. We lost in overtime. We're talking about bad beats, but we're going to win some bad beats too. So I just think New England's going to get them again because Bill Belichick, coming off a loss like that, I would not want to be on this practice field. And he made him. I did see something the other day. He made him practice in the cold and rain. He didn't bring him indoors. He's mad. He's not going to put up. And they had 8 penalties. One penalty cost him that game against the Colts, sent into overtime. You know what play that was? 4th and 6 for the Colts, and they kicked the field goal. It was wide to the left. They had an offsides penalty, and they got it 5 yards closer, and he barely made it the second time. Went from a 46-yard field goal to a 41-yard field goal, and he made it. Those 3 points to go up 20-0. That's what hurt them. They take that field goal away, 17-0. You could conceivably think that the Patriots tie that game up in the fourth quarter, and they go into overtime. So, but that one play, I'm sure that's the one. That's the one play. I know Bill Belichick well. That one offside, that made him very angry. So, and kind of rightfully so. I just think that I think Buffalo, that they have no answer for Bill Belichick. This McDermott, he's making some comments that's getting to the sports media, and he's not correcting any of it. I think McDermott might be the problem for the Buffalo Bills. When you get a coach that is so frustrated and so out of kilter, went off the rails about Tom Brady. He never beat Tom Brady. And I think Buffalo got, they got too much ahead of themselves. It happens to everybody. The Jacksonville Jaguars in the late 90s did it too. They were 14-2. There are 2 losses to the Tennessee Titans. Steve McNair and the Titans. I mean, Jeff Fisher was the coach. They took them to the Super Bowl. The Titans beat the Jacksonville for the championship game, 33-14 at Jacksonville. Jacksonville beat everybody in that NFL season, but they couldn't beat the Tennessee Titans. They lost 3 times to them that season. It just happens. Some teams got some teams' numbers, and it gets in their head. And I think New England lives rent-free in their heads. It's not the way the other way around. No one intimidates or gets the best of Bill Belichick. I mean, Buffalo, I think they're finished. Now, I got to say this on the flip side here. If Buffalo can win this game and they win that, they got to play the Jets and they get another cupcake game somewhere. And the next 2 games are much easier than the Patriots' 2 games. And New England's got to play Miami again. Miami could win that game. Miami could sweep New England this year, and that would kill them. If Buffalo can win this game this coming Sunday, if they can go to Gillette Stadium and beat the Patriots, they'll win the AFC East. Bill Belichick's team's off losses. I mean, he's got a very high winning percentage and covering the spread. And we're laying 2.5. I'm taking New England Patriots. I got to go with what I see. I think New England, they could still win the Super Bowl. The next game, we're taking another even game. We're taking the Broncos even. Now, look at line. It started out with the Broncos -5.5. Then it got down when Bridgewater got hurt. It got down to Raiders were favored by 2.5. These last 2 weeks because of the COVID issue. I mean, the Giants-Dallas game, look at line was Dallas -3.5 and went all the way to 12. There's ways you can middle these games, but you got to be on top. The last few weeks, I mean, there's been such big spreads. I mean, there's been plenty of opportunities to middle games, and then that is your ideal situation. And I have a separate video about middling the games, and I'll show you what I've done on my little thing here. And I've middled 3 games so far this year, and I won them all. So, but it's very, very hard to do. And you got to do this thing when they offer the look headline first, and you can do that at the Las Vegas Hilton. And there's a couple books online that let you do that too. It was announced that Bridgewater got hurt, and they got this guy named Locke. And he's not very good. I don't think he's ever won a game as a quarterback in the NFL, but he's serviceable. They just need him to manage the game. I think the Broncos still got the better defense. I think they got apparently the better coaching staff, because this new guy, this interim coach for the Raiders, he's won them over in the locker room, but you need to do more to win them over. I mean, you got to win some games, and they were lucky to beat the depleted Cleveland Brown team the other week, and they needed a last-second field goal to do it, and they didn't cover. I think the Raiders have the most happened to them in the history of the NFL, man. And they're still alive at 7-7. I get all that, but you got to remember they had a 3-0. They were a top-ranked team after the first 3 weeks, especially on offense. They had the top-ranked offense in the NFL. I mean, they were humming, they were cooking until they got rid of Gruden. The Raiders, I mean, their defense is not that good. They got a decent pass rush at times, but the pass rush has fallen off. I think the Broncos are going to come out, and if they can get that intensity that they had when they destroyed the Dallas Cowboys at Dallas. And see, the Raiders already beat them once, 34-24. They beat them by 10 or whatever it was. And the Broncos were 5.5-point chalk, and that was at home. I just think that the Broncos are going to win out here. I think the Broncos have a chance to actually make a wild card spot. The team is good enough. I think it's a positive thing that they lost Bridgewater. I think Bridgewater's cost them a couple games. Just think they're 7-7 in 2 games that I think Bridgewater cost them. They'd be 9-5 right now. They'd have Kansas City sweating it out. So, and they got to play Kansas City last week. Thank you. Have a great day. Always remember, stay within your means. Entertainment only. Say hi to Ken Norton and Muhammad Ali. Say hi to the Beatles, the hardest working band in the history of music. And you know how much I love my country. Okay. So, and we all love the NFL. And this video is dedicated to Ryan Clark, the center of the Colts, because he lost his newborn. We care about our NFL family. We don't care which team they're on. We just, we're all part of this great thing. The NFL is a great, great hobby. It's a great pastime. Long live the NFL. Thank you. Stay tuned for the next video. Thank you.